Hello everybody and welcome to another book tasting. If you're wondering what a book tasting is, it's where I, Miss Kristen from the Lake Hiawatha Library, give you a little taste of some amazing books I have. And that way you can decide if you want to read more of them. Alright, so these books are going to be great for 3rd to 5th graders, maybe even some older kids. Alright, so I'm going to get started now. Okay, so our first book I'm going to talk about is called The Frog Princess, and it's by E.D. Baker. So this book is in a series, and I loved this one when I was growing up. So when I was your age, I love this series. So what it's about is Princess Emeralda is not your average princess. She has a donkey braying laugh. She likes to go outside, and she is so clumsy. But one day when she's at the pond, she meets a frog. And this frog says he just needs a kiss from a princess to turn into a prince. So she doesn't really want to do it, but she finally does because she is a princess. And you know what happens? This frog doesn't turn into a prince. No, this frog turns her into a frog. So she has to go on to adventures with her frog prince, Prince Adric, so they can figure out how to break the curse that now is on both of them and what's happening in her kingdom. So I really like this because it's funny, it's got adventure, it's got fantasy, it's got everything. All right, so this one is The Frog Princess. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is called You Go First. So this one is about 2 kids that are living thousands of miles apart, and the only thing that brings them together is an online Scrabble game. So these 2 kids, Charlotte and Ben, are totally different. Charlotte lives in Pennsylvania, Ben lives in Louisiana. Charlotte wants to be a geologist, and Ben is obsessed with Harry Potter, the presidential history, and recycling. But they come to find out through their Scrabble game that they have more in common than you could even think. So between these 2 online, through their Scrabble game, they start to get to know each other, and they survive middle school and unexpected challenges to their family, and it's just a really great book. It's realistic fiction, so it's realistic, no fantasy, nothing like that, and it's just a really good book, especially about getting to know yourself and getting to know how you deal with situations and the challenges that you can overcome. So this one is called You Go First. Alright, so the next one I want to talk about is a fun adventure story called The Gauntlet. So, The Gauntlet is a book that's an adventure story, and it follows Farah and her 3 friends as they get sucked into a board game because they have to go rescue her little brother. So they have to solve clues and figure out the best way to find her brother in this board game, and all the while they have to make sure they don't get stuck in it themselves, because if they can't figure out how to win the board game, they would become its prisoners. So this one is definitely like the movie Jumanji, if you've ever heard of that one, and it's just a great adventure story, and it's about friendship, it's about overcoming obstacles, and it was really great. And also the food that's described in it is so good. All right, so that's The Gauntlet. Okay, so my next one is called Booked, and it is a novel told in verse. And so verse means that it's told, the story's told in like poetry format. So even though it looks like a big book, it goes really quickly because it's in this format. And the fun part about it is sometimes the verses, you can find different things about them. Like the first one, if you look at it, if you look at the bolded letters, what does it spell out? Soccer. So that's what this book is about. So Nick Hall is our protagonist, and he is the star of the soccer team. And he is just going through life, doing well in soccer, but also figuring out how to ask out girls, how to deal with his life, his family, his friends. But then there is a huge announcement that happens, and it changes his life forever. So we have to see how that announcement is going to change Nick's life and what he's going to do about it, all the while also having him excel at soccer. So if you like sports, this is definitely a great book for you. And definitely, I love this book because they're just, verse novels are just so easy to read, but also it's just, I just love how amazing they are, because it definitely has a different flow than normal novels, and things like that, because you get different ways to view things. So that one is called Booked. Okay, so this next one is a graphic novel, and I love the Berrybrook Middle School series. It's just a great middle school series, and they're great looks at middle school life, and I just love how relatable they are. So this one is about Jorge, and he seems to have it all together, but he doesn't. Just like everybody doesn't have it all together, even if they seem like they do. He has great friends, he's super kind and super sweet, but every time he meets this girl, things just go bad. And he has to figure out how to deal with girls, dealing with his friends, dealing with all those different things that you have to deal with as you get older. And he has to figure out how to deal with what other people want from him and also what he wants. So this is a really great story. And if you haven't read Awkward and Brave, the first two, you definitely should, but you don't have to read those to understand this one, because they all kind of exist as their own book, but they talk, sometimes their old characters pop up, so you get to see them again. All right, so this one is Awkward. And also, look at how the illustrations are. I just love how simple but cute they are, and I just like it. All right, so that's Crush. Okay, so this next one is a choose your own adventure novel, and we have a bunch of different choose your own adventure novels at the library, but this one I like because zombies are super cool. So this one is a choose your own adventure where on certain pages you have to figure out what you do. Would you climb a tree, or would you make a run for it? And then you turn to that certain page that it tells you to see if you're going to survive this adventure. And so you might have to choose different adventures. You might have to go back after you read a page and see, oh, you didn't make it, the zombies got you, or if you're going to survive. So it might take some trial and error, but you'll have to see how you're going to do in the zombie apocalypse. Okay? This next one I'm going to talk about is The School for Good and Evil. So this one's another series, and the 6th book just came out, and I started reading it a while back, but I'm just rereading now because I wanted to catch up to read all the books. So this one is about 2 girls, and they are from a village where sometimes people get kidnapped. So 2 kids every year get kidnapped. And I just love the first line. Let me read it for you. I think it's a great first line. Sophie had waited all her life to be kidnapped. So this is about a school for good and evil where fairy tale princess and princes and villains learn how to be princesses and princesses and villains. So Sophie and Agatha are kidnapped from their village, and they get put into the school for good and evil. But the one that seems like the perfect princess, Sophie, who loves pink, who loves looking pretty, who loves doing all that stuff and always dreamed of finding her prince, is put in the school for evil. And Agatha, the one that's a loner, who sometimes has greasy hair, who wasn't always the popular one, is put in the school for good. So they think something's wrong. They're in the wrong school. So they have to figure out what's going on and if they're really in the right school, and what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be evil? And each book is a little different. Each time they go back to the school for good and evil, something different happens. And you'll just have to read to find out if they're in the right school and how their fairy tale is going to end. So that is The School for Good and Evil. Next story is called Sal and Gabi Break the Universe, and it's part of the Riazi series where other authors take mythologies and folk tales and things from their culture to create stories, just like Riazi does with Greek and Norse mythology. And it's really amazing because it gets people that know the mythologies and the folk tales to be able to create their own stories with them. And so Sal and Gabi is about Sal and Gabi, and when they meet, it's not under the best circumstances. They meet in the principal's office, and Gabi's there because she's there to support her friend, and Sal is there because he put a raw chicken in her friend's locker. So Sal has this amazing ability that isn't really normal. He can transcend space and time, and something's happening because their manipulation of time and space has been putting the entire universe at risk. So they have to figure out how to fix this, and while they're doing it, it's very comedic, it's very funny, and it's just a tale of friendship, a tale of adventure, and it also is it made me laugh a lot because it was just really, really funny. And so if you really like Percy Jackson and Magnus Chase and all those fun stories, you will definitely like Sal and Gabi Break the Universe. And if you are interested in some other stories by these authors, they by the Riazi Presents, I know we have a few other ones. Okay, so I have a few other ones. So this one is Race to the Sun, and then this was the newest one by Ala Santiago and the River of Tears. But there's definitely a bunch of other ones, so if you call the library, we would be happy to get you one and let you know what kind of folk tales or mythology it's based off of, because they're all just really great. Alright, so that was Sal and Gabi Breaks the Universe. Alright, so that is it for my book tasting for today. I hope you found some books that you're interested in, and if you are, remember to call the library or visit our online catalog to put those books on hold for you. And we would also love to be able to give you other recommendations, so if you call the library, definitely ask us for other recommendations, because we are so happy to give you those. And definitely a lot of these books I talked about there are series. So if you like the first one, after you read it, make sure you get the rest, because they continue on, okay? So thank you guys all for listening, and I hope you have a great day.